Hey guys, Negative9 here, how is it going everybody? And in this video, I'll be going over the top 5 mistakes made by new players to Guild Wars 2. Now just before I start, I want to say that the goal of this video is not to point out the new players' mistakes in a mean way, but to give new players a little bit of a guide when playing Guild Wars 2 for the first time. So with that said, let's get into the top 5. At number 5, we have dodging. Dodging is a movement technique available to all classes used to evade incoming attacks by quickly moving out of the way, and it basically lets you take less damage. Dodging is a mechanic fairly unique to Guild Wars 2, and a lot of new players either forget that dodging is a thing or just choose to play without it. Now, dodging is actually very important in Guild Wars 2, especially if you're doing world bosses, dungeons, or PvP. So if you're having trouble killing certain mobs or just generally dying too much, then definitely try to take full advantage of your dodge ability. Number 4 is ignoring builds and statistics. One of the most common mistakes for new players in Guild Wars 2 to make is failing to take advantage of builds and general statistics. Picking a build and paying attention to your stats is a way to further customize your character in Guild Wars 2. With builds, you can choose if you want to do a lot of damage, be super hard to kill, or if you want to heal and support your fellow players. When you first start the game, it may be hard to keep track of what all the statistics mean, but if you make an effort to learn them, not only can you become a better player, but you can unlock a whole new level of depth within the game. There are a lot of players in Guild Wars 2 actually that spend all of their time testing out builds and finding ways to enhance their effectiveness even more. So if this is something you're guilty of or want to get better at, I'll leave a couple links in the description for some good informational build guides. Number 3 is creating too many characters. This is a common problem across many MMOs, especially for newer players who have yet to experience the pros and cons of every class. The problem is with many altaholics is that you end up getting very little done. Instead of leveling or doing what you want, you end up spending all your time switching from character to character. To combat this, I recommend slowing down and giving each class a good look. Maybe create a character and take him to PvP to see what the later level skills are like. Or, if you still can't decide, check out a video I made a while back guiding you through how to choose what class to play in Guild Wars 2. My general rule when playing an MMO is to try not to create any alts before I have a character at level 80. But at the end of the day, if you like leveling alts, go right ahead, do what's fun for you, but if you are frustrated by lack of progress, give some of those tips a try. At number 2, we have clicking abilities. A lot of new players who play Guild Wars 2 for the first time use their mouse to click the abilities on their skill bar. Believe it or not, but clicking your abilities actually puts you at a significant disadvantage to other players. Generally, when clicking, your reaction times are a couple of seconds slower than the other players who keybind. Now, keybinding is the practice of assigning various abilities placed on the player's action bar to a specific unique key on the keyboard or mouse. The benefits of keybinding include quicker reaction times, greater maneuverability, and the ability to pull off more complicated skill combinations. The biggest problem you may face with keybinding, for most players at least, is that it's hard to get used to. When you've been clicking for a long time, keybinding can feel very unnatural, and it could be difficult to remember what key is what ability. You just have to stick with it really, and eventually your hands will get used to it, and hopefully it will improve your effectiveness as a player. There are a bunch of Guild Wars 2 keybinding guides on YouTube that I highly recommend checking out. And finally, at number 1, we have leveling. The most consistent mistake I see from new players, especially ones with experience from other MMOs, is that they don't know how to properly level their character in Guild Wars 2. The first mistake a new player usually makes is that they assume hearts are the primary method of leveling in Guild Wars 2. It's a reasonable assumption to make, especially, like I said, if you've played another MMO in the past, as hearts are pretty much the closest thing to traditional quests in Guild Wars 2. Therefore, most players target these hearts, and as you can imagine, they give a boring, grindy, nasty experience to new players. Unfortunately, I have known this to permanently put players off of Guild Wars 2. And to be completely honest, the game doesn't do a great job of explaining this in the early levels, and I think that's a major setback that probably needs to be addressed. The game kinda just expects the player to run off in a random direction and start doing dynamic events, world bosses, and map completion, all of which are major ways to level and have a funner experience while leveling. So, with that said, that will conclude this top 5 video, guys. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the support in the past few weeks, and keep an eye out for some exciting stuff. I'm getting closer to that 1,000 mark, and hopefully I will be doing a giveaway around the time that I get to 1,000 subs. So like I said, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.